And during this minute, let us have the awareness that we are temporarily visitors on this planet. Invisible souls are temporary visitors, and they have a world beyond. Just this awareness. Thank you. Now, today's subject is connected with mind, conscious, subconscious. And this morning we had um, some dialogue with our sister in Brazil online. And one question that came up was how we understand truth. What is truth? Where does truth exist? Is it important for us? And once you take this subject, it has so much relevance to all of us. If we are establishing the age of truth, land of truth, we need truth. Yeah, so mhm. You can hear here? Yeah, sound is okay. So this is echoing. It is a bit uncomfortable here, and that's, so some adjustment is required. If it can be lowered, maybe. And our speakers need to be at the right place. So we had this discussion on the subject, what is it is echoing at the moment. Okay, sure. So we were seeing this subject on truth. It was taken up by philosophers at different times, and Plato gives a very important, very interesting insight in this subject of truth. And what he says, there are many ways of finding truth. People use mathematics and people use science, our logic, different ways of understanding truth. But he says there is a huge limitation in all of this. And what is the limitation? All our approach, our senses, they don't give us the right information. senses, for example, we rely upon our senses to give us the information. At a simple level, it is okay. I can see this chair. I know whether I should sit here, not sit here. I can decide about this. But to know about truth, are the senses giving me the right information? And he says, answer is no. Senses deceive us. For example, senses tell me that this is solid. Agree? You will say this is solid, but we also know this is made of atoms, nothing but atoms. It is full, nothing more than atom. And we also know that every atom is 99.99999% vacuum. So what we are dealing with here is a largely vacuum. My senses don't tell me that I am dealing with a vacuum here. And same thing applies to everything that we see here. Senses tell me that the sun is rising, it is moving, earth is here, and sun is going around the earth. That is what the senses tell me. Senses don't tell me that earth is going around the sun. At many levels, senses deceive me. So senses is not a way to know the truth. Understand? And so our logic and science 100% is based upon the information we receive from the senses. So he uses the word, Plato, that we need nous. He uses this term, nous, N-O-U-S, Greek word. And at that time, it was understood as a higher intelligence. And sometimes it is translated as God-like kind of mind. You are seeing things, with a different mind, different intellect. And he says we need nous to understand truth. Ordinarily, we can't know truth. So in Raj Yoga, in our language, and there's a word that we all heard in the Murli today, this morning, and that word is paras. When the word paras is used, it reminds me of what Plato is speaking about nous. You need this higher intellect. What happens with this higher intellect? You are able to see the bigger map, and you are able to see eternity. You are able to see what is beyond the limits ordinarily. And when you are seeing on that scale, your attitude towards this physical world changes. If we are not using paras, the only other option for us is to use patthar. And when you are using patthar, this physical world becomes your everything. Do you know anyone who uses patthar? Hmm? Yes, what I am meaning is, do you know anyone who uses patthar buddhi, patthar intellect? Yes. Yeah, I will explain. So here is a gross intellect. And with this gross intellect, we are able to see only the physical world, and that becomes your complete world, what we see at a physical level. So here, if I'm using this board, and let us see. When I'm seeing the big map, I see that there is a world that is subtle and that is eternal. That becomes obvious to me if I'm using paras. Not just a concept, but that becomes your world. eternity becomes obvious and normal. If you are using paras, and and when you are seeing on that scale, you are seeing different things at that level. You are seeing what is eternal, whatever that is eternal, that's what you are seeing. When you are not using the paras, and when you are using the Patthar intellect, the physical world becomes your world. I'm representing the physical world by that little box there. That becomes your world, and you are day in and day out with that world. That's what you are thinking about. Nice image for this is, say there are ants in the ant. There's the ant hill, and there are lots of ants and lots going on in the ant hill. They're all busy, and there are achievements and progress and success that's going on. All are busy. They do not even know that there is a sky, or they might not even know what is beyond the end world. They don't see what birds can see, what eagle can see. Their world is the world of ants. Something like that happens when we are using the Patthar intellect. As we said, Patthar means gross intellect, stone intellect. You are caught in the ant world, and that has become your reality. At that level, you see only the gross things, and your notion of the self, notion of I, is also based upon the gross, because you can't see anything else. So the body and that has become your idea of the self, and life goes on. What is the problem with that life? You are at that ant world, busy, and some progress, a party going on. People are having, celebrations, and so what is wrong if you are caught in that little box, in that little world, thinking about it, worrying about the ant world, ant hill? That's what you are worrying about, and aim is to become a big ant in that ant world. That is the big ambition. Become celebrity, and so what is wrong with it? Is there anything wrong? What is wrong? Say it again. Higher truth. Okay, that's very good. And another thing that happens, that world that we are dealing with, this physical world, it is not eternal. And even if it was eternal, we can't see it. We can't, our whole positioning is narrow. That intellect cannot see too far. So in our discussion about truth, she was asking how to develop this higher intellect, how to develop nose, how to develop paras. And one simple practice is to grapple with the word eternity. Just to play with this. Some complete new person, students, children, they need to be told, try and think about what eternity means. For example, if someone is day in and day out thinking about 10 seconds, 8 seconds, 10 minutes, this is his idea about whole thing, time. And suddenly he is told 10 years. He is not used to this. 10 years, so billions of seconds. He's thinking about 10 seconds and 4 seconds. That is where his mind is locked in. The years don't exist. So for us to be told there is a dimension, just think of the dimension where it is beyond billions of years. In reality, see the scale. Eternity means more than billions of years, beyond the beginning of this universe, that forever that exists. And on that scale, your life here of 100 years, 50 years, see that life on that scale. And you will understand this is like a different perspective. We never thought that way. Usually we don't think. We think about what will happen, what I need to buy, and what I have to, some next, at most, our Rakhi celebration, next Diwali, we are planning this. We are not thinking about millions of years and beyond time. When you are just grappling with this word, eternity, it stretches the intellect. That is the secret. But in this lower intellect, you are not thinking on that scale. You are thinking at most 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Children, the one thing about children, they can't see the time the way adults see. If you tell a child, give me your chocolate, I'll give you 10 chocolates next week. Will he give you a chocolate? He will not. For him, next week is not real. Understand? If you were to tell this to me, I will think this is a good investment. One chocolate and I get 10 chocolates. Yes, I can wait for 1 week. I will think this way. But children's intellect is different. They can't see the time the same way as adults. As they grow, they can see. And for us, the next step of our growth is to see in a higher intellect, to see bigger map. The word unlimited is very important for us. Not just in the notes, unlimited, but to see on an unlimited scale, even for 1 minute. What does it mean, unlimited? What does it mean, immortality? What does it mean, eternity? You are seeing on a different scale. And at present, we are not doing this. And when you are not seeing on that scale, one word that bothers us all our life, what is that word? Each and every person on this planet is bothered by one word. His life is ruled by one word. What is that one word? Time, busy, ego, still another word.
End. It's going to end.
Yes, the word end I was thinking of. The word end, no one likes this word end. It is not just the end of the body, but it can be end of your job, end of some relationship, end of your ice cream. We do not like the end. Agree? And everyone is fighting this word end. They're trying to. But at that level, end is destined. End is certain. Everything here ends. So we are in this gathering will come to an end. We will move to a different place. Everything changes. And one with the lower intellect, he is locked with this word end. End is real for him. One with the higher intellect, for him there is no end. He understands immortality. He understands timelessness. He understands existence forever, and the existence of the real world. He's seeing something else. When he's seeing at that level, he's seeing everyone is eternal. He's seeing eternal things. Eagle is seeing the world of the eagles. Ants are seeing the world of the ants. Understand? So when we are at that lower intellect, we are seeing everything is going to end. And once we are told there is an end to everything, we helplessly get into the mindset of a beggar. We all the time want, so how can I address this end? We don't want to die. No one wants die. Even an ant doesn't want to die. Insect, no one wants to die. So also within us, at that level, the whole program is program of the beggar. Constantly, he wants more and more, trying to address this end. Understand now? And since at that intellect end is never solved, so he forever remains a beggar. He wants some respect, he wants some praise, he wants a bigger head, bigger job. He thinks something of this kind will make him secure. Secondly, that mindset makes him a slave. He becomes dependent on whatever that is around him in that little anthill. And he becomes dependent on the position just for some peace, dependent on someone else, dependent on the weather and temperature. He becomes one with a slave mindset, and he adopts a victim mindset because there's an end. Everything is going to go, and it is going. So he feels he's eternally a victim, forever a victim. Someone says something for me, I am a victim because he is locked in this changing temporary world. That is all he can see. These are the lowest denominations in any society. We are talking about the beggar in any society. In a sense, you go to some train station or something, you see someone who is begging. And of all people in the city, beggar means the lowest denomination anywhere. Who would like to go to that level? Second, the slave, that is the lowest denomination. Victim, that is the lowest denomination. And in that personality, one chooses the mindset. Mindset itself is of the beggar, victim, and the slave. And this influences our mind and the subconscious mind because it is a mind. And so if we are dealing with people, that is what is happening. Whatever they are doing, the victim within them is choosing what they should be doing. Ideas of progress, ideas of success, they want to address the victim in there. Someone want to build a castle. Why he needs a castle? So that he can protect himself. He's a victim, potential victim. So he needs a castle. Someone wants a bigger head, because he thinks in some way he can address that slave within him, the beggar within him, and the full-time life that is going. Everyone has the option. An option is to see from a different intellect altogether, different game. Just as we are saying, use a microscope, use telescope, you see things differently. It is as straightforward as that. Use this different different intellect, and now you are seeing, it's fine, but you are seeing the sky, the immortality, eternity of this world, and seeing that everyone is immortal and everyone is subtle. They all are good. They all are immortal and they are subtle. The intellect is able to grasp this. You are seeing that you yourselves are subtle and immortal. Your intellect can handle this at dimension. That lower intellect misses it completely. He can't see the sky. So what exists at that level, he can't see it. Whereas with Paras, you are seeing this immortality. And then game changes. Once you understand you are immortal, once you understand everyone is immortal, your world itself is eternal, what happens? You become free from this, your impossible demand to become eternal in that temporary world, in that temporary story, where everything, every episode has an end. Change is a law at that level. So now you are seeing that world exists, but you are seeing the world beyond. You become the observer of that world down below, but you have the reality beyond. Do you want to say anything? Do you want to add anything? Yes, the word end. That is reality. That is reality. Yes, absolutely. Like just as here, we have come here in this room, and we know many things are going to change. They are changing in front of us, and maybe ending also. Like for example, something here that is going to go, and it doesn't disturb us because we know that it doesn't going to end me. I have no problem observing what is ending. There is cloud, I can see there outside, and cloud is disappearing. It doesn't disturb me because I have not created any bondage there. So end and change, if you are observing, it is not a problem. But when we create bondage, then we become slaves and we become victims. That end bothers us. So same thing happens here. When we use this higher intellect, nous or paras, and you are seeing this dimension of eternity, you are discovering that others are also immortal. You are discovering you are immortal. You would discover that your world is that. For the eagle, the world is the sky. And you can watch the anthill down below. It knows about the anthill, but is free from the anthill. Same happens here. He is able to understand the whole physical world as a story. From that intellect, he sees it as a story. And when he sees it as a story, he's amused by everything that is going on there. He's happy with the beginning and the end of the episode, and the new episode starts, new episode finishes. That's great there down below. But he is aware of his world, and his world is forever. It exists forever. Once we grasp this, once we even experiment with it right now, as we said, we all have it. We have this higher intellect. As we use it, it just becomes stronger. Just as we have got different muscles, whichever muscle you use, that muscle becomes stronger. If you don't use some muscle, then those muscles atrophy, they remain weak. Same thing happens. We have this paras, but if we stretch it, if we use it, then it will become stronger. Tomorrow you practice it, if you are able to see on that scale, it becomes easier for you. And this is like a very, very prime thing for us. Anyone in a spiritual journey, he needs the right instruments. Just like I often give the example, a surgeon, today the surgeon can do most refined, delicate operations within seconds, minutes, some little, he can go through the vein and do this operation on the heart. It was not done 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We can do that now. Is it because surgeons are clever? No, the instruments are clever. The technology has helped to come with the right instrument. If you don't have the right instrument, the best surgeon cannot do anything. Even the slightest thing, if it is not of the right size, even, best surgeon cannot get good results. You need the right instrument. If you are on the spiritual path, then we need to use the right instrument. Otherwise, there are many, many religions. They also talk about God. They also talk about soul. They also talk about heaven. They talk about good karma. They also talk about sin. They talk about virtue life. What is the difference? They are using the wrong instrument of the paras. So you are using the gross intellect. You are caught in the anthill with these amazing ideas. And so everything gets debased very quickly. And you are then fighting in the name of religion. The results you don't get. You don't get the results that are intended. Same thing can happen to me also. Here I could be hearing great ideas, but using the wrong instrument. But we can't use the paras straight away either. That is the situation, because we have to first build the muscles. And that is fine. Once you understand the process, that's great. So using the paras for 1 minute, half a minute, these are most precious moments for us. Because more you are using it, that dimension becomes real to you. And once that dimension has become real, that helps you, the eternal you, the soul, becomes conscious. It is a very different game altogether, soul becoming conscious. As in Hindi, there is a word, Atma Gyan. You know about knowledge. Atma Chintan, you think about knowledge, think about soul. Atma Varnan and Atma Darshan. But this is all in Bhakti, it is seen as a big thing, Atma Chintan. Here it is not enough. The Atmik Smriti, the soul has to wake up. Soul has to become conscious. Soul has to breathe and live. Eagle has to be conscious. The sky has to be your world. Are you okay with this? You came here to change the subconscious. You're talking about the sky. But the sky has to become our world. That is where we belong. Immortality that is where we belong. That is where our family is. You are seeing the world of the eagles. Sky beyond the sky. That becomes normal. And we have to We start today. Even 1 minute, half a minute, we start using it, it will just become stronger. What happens as a result? The moment you discover you are yourselves immortal, you become completely free from these lower tendencies. You realize you are never a victim. It is worth writing down. Never a victim. You know, down below there will be death. You know, not just there's death, and there are wars going on, and there can be flood and many things. Anything is possible. Agree? But deep inside, you understand, the invisible soul understands, immortal soul understands, he is never a victim. Leave aside someone saying something and it can hurt him, and someone doing something hurt him. Death cannot harm him even the slightest. He understands down below is a story. Story cannot harm him at all. Can story harm anyone? One time we were here in Los Angeles. I often tell this incidents. We went to Universal Studio, Denise, you know, and we saw one performance. It is called Back to the Future, three-dimensional. Some of you might have seen this, where a dinosaur comes and opens the mouth and swallows you. You know, it is three-dimensional performance. Dinosaur opens the mouth and bit angry with us and swallows us. And some are screaming, you know, in the audience. But those who did it and those who are watching it, they see it as a fun. Understand? Now, swallowed by a dinosaur. There can't be anything worse than this. But we were amused by the whole thing because story cannot harm you. You know you are safe. That's why it whole thing became a joke. Same thing happens for the one who is conscious. The soul that is conscious, he understands that the story, here is the story that is going on. Prashant is talking, that is happening in the story. That whole story cannot harm him even the slightest. That's what he realizes. Many things happen. Never a beggar, never. He needs nothing from a story. Some might ask, you know, but what about food? What about drink? How will you answer? They say, never a beggar. But what about food? You need at least food. Someone would ask you this. You need at least water. You need some job. And let's say I have come here as a guest and someone asks me to look after the plant for next 2 hours. Do you mind to look after the plant? I'm happy to look after the plant. And if plant needs some water, I'll get water for the plant. And plant needs some, you know, some soil, I will find that soil and use for the plant. But deep inside, I know I don't need the plant to start with. Agree? I'm here just for 2 hours. I'm going to leave after 2 hours. I don't need the plant. I don't need the water. I don't need that soil. But as a trustee, I am happy to use it for the plant. Same is the attitude of the invisible soul. He sees he doesn't need the body in the first place. He doesn't need anything from here. Quite happy to take care of the body, quite happy to do a job, find some food for this. But he is never a beggar, never a victim, never a slave. When you become free from this, even for 1 minute, when you are experimenting with this, for 1 minute become free from this. Otherwise, this programming, you know, or subconscious programming is going on. That is constant. You know, anything you are seeing, it is these factors are seeing it. you become free from this, what remains is an angel. What remains is a prince. Internally, the moment you remove this negative, what remains is something superhuman. That you discover the mind of happiness. You don't need cakes to be happy. You discover mind of contentment. You discover the mind. Happiness comes with friends. Happiness comes with its entourage. So you find there is a mind where there is secure, carefree about many things. You are understanding this, but your experiences are super sensuous. We said mind of the angel, mind of the prince, because deep inside he knows he's very lucky. We have just shown a line there, red line, just very symbolic, very, very relevant. We notice images are here, different images that's showing that dimension. For the one who is using that intellect, he lives there. That is his world, that is his home, that is his important home. He also knows it is the home of everyone else. If they become, if when you experience yourselves, that's mind where there is freedom from anything inauspicious. Under provocation, you will not feel the anger, you will not feel complaint. Under provocation, mind that is mind of contentment. So here you discover reality that everyone else is also noble. Everyone is deep inside. They are divine beings. There is not, if you remove the beggar and the victim and the slave from anyone's personality, what remains is noble and divine. Anytime we do not like anything in others, it is this, we do not like the beggar in anyone, we do not like the slave in anyone. These lower patterns we do not like in others or in ourselves. If we like some people, if they are free from this, without analyzing too much, if they are free from the victim, don't complain all the time. Sometimes you ask someone, how are you? They are immediately giving the list of things. That is, then you avoid asking anyone, how are you? This is with all of us. There are some people who got lots of problems, but they don't see themselves as victims. You find they are good company. Agree, no? It's natural. We tend to like people, like company where victim is less, beggar is less, and the slave is less. And we like that in ourselves also. So at that level, we say the eagles are seeing eagles. At that level, you are seeing that everyone is noble. And divine is a real word for you. It is not just divine brothers and divine sisters. No, you understand that is a real word. Who are divine? Those invisible souls. They are divine beings. There is no demon in them, nothing inauspicious in them. Then it is divine. They are worthy of greatest respect, greatest love. That is everyone. And this extends to beyond human. This is the natural state of all souls. Anyone who is immortal, and when they are experiencing their immortality, they will experience their divinity. Such is the truth. So right now they may be experiencing it, they are conscious, they are not conscious. That's okay, but they are divine beings. And deep inside, in an authentic way, you have respect for them, you have love for them. This applies to everyone, as we said. In the drama, they play different parts, different role. Here we have all variety, different parts we are playing. So 8 billion of us, they all are playing different parts in the drama. But behind the part, behind that anthill, they are the invisible actors, and they are angelic souls. They are noble. They are divine. You see it with the conviction because you are not just talking about it, you are using the intellect to see it. If it is with Pattar, if it is with a lower intellect, it can become just a theory. And it is nice. As we have said, many religions may use a language like this. This divine word is not just our word, it is what is our words in the language. So many people use the language, but they don't mean anything. They don't mean it either themselves. But if you are using the intellect and if you train it, you are realizing that everyone is like this. And silently you have respect and you have love. There is no need of show in this. At that physical level, that is not relevant. It is a drama that goes on. Dramatics. Nothing wrong with it. If you can show your virtues and divine manners, that's also okay. But here, authentic, your love, your respect, that is what matters. Silently, 1 minute, half a minute, if you are doing this, it matters. In what way all this matters? It helps you, because every time you come into these actions, silent actions, your inner contentment, inner happiness, you are seeing the greatness of everyone. You are seeing a wonder. That dimension is a wonderland. You are seeing it. And that influences there are angelic actions performed. It is not just an angel with that nice word, your vision that will revive others, that will make others become conscious. It is always like this, say if in your garden suddenly some birds come, starlings, sometimes little tiny birds, and one flies, second flies, the whole flock flies. Have you seen this? They don't think, they all go. If within a second, they're all gone somewhere else. Same thing happens here. You fly, and another one flies. Then the whole flock will fly. That is the game. It is not possible for us, it is physically not possible for 8 billion souls to understand about subconscious mind. Understand? It is not possible to create time, discuss, and ask questions. 8 billion is not possible, but not of issue. 800 of us fly. Don't analyze too much. Once you have understood it, put into practice. We got the wings. This intellect is like the wings for you. You got the wings. You experiment, make the wings stronger, and as you fly, second one flies. Some 800 have to fly, and it will make other 8,000 to fly. Without too much effort, it will become easy for others to fly, and the game changes completely. And these actions that you are performing, these actions have influence on the subconscious mind. Theory doesn't change subconscious mind. Like we have understood about knowledge, for example. We know about knowledge, we may be speaking knowledge to others. That doesn't change subconscious mind. I understand about intellect and experience it. In yoga, I am experiencing it. Even that doesn't change the subconscious mind. Making intellect strong, we said, that what comes to the subconscious mind is your action. You have to act from that new perspective. In the old perspective, we know, as we said, old perspective is constant, that program going on in the anthill. Every small thing matters for you in the anthill. Does it happen in California? So that is, you are impressed also, or you are disappointed, but that is all at that level. That is the old program. Here you are seeing with a new intellect. That is great, but you have to act from that. You have to see others with that intellect. Come into that awareness. That is, we use the word angel, prince, and what is the third word we use? Angel, prince, noble, So these are the aspects of that personality. You are discovering your other side. All of these are real words. These are not metaphysical or some poetic words, some angel, some nice, poetic word. No, here is a race of angels. We all are. All the way the angels are described that apply to all of us. We don't need to talk too much about this, but come into the experience. Whatever I'm emphasizing here, if we use the wrong instrument, then we just remain with the words, and we remain with the poetry, and we remain with the metaphor, but not the experience. Use the right instrument, use the right intellect, it becomes your experience. New start. We said Prashant is part of the story. That will not change. Prashant will not become an angel. It is that level, part of the anthill. At the same time, the invisible soul can become conscious. That is another effort. You this right instrument that helps the invisible prince from a different angle. It becomes a new star attitudes. But like you must saying by someone, slowly, instead of going a wrong direction at a fast speed. So here, let's choose which is the direction, which instrument you want to work on, what is your program, different game. Our aim is not to become a big ant in the ant hill. That is not the destination. There are enough big ants in every city. But here our aim is to discover the sky and discover the eagle and take others also in the sky. Different game altogether. So it will be nice to hear from you also, and we'll create time for some questions and some experience. Yeah, is it best? Yeah, you speak in the microphone. Is there any other microphone? Yeah, I will repeat.
So it's, I think the reason for our presence, this temporary world, that to have a noose and, don't be limited to an anthill and, just reach for the sky and for why we are, where we are coming from, stay connected to that. At the same time, I always wonder, like how you said, we should build a muscle for it and stay at it. But sometimes I kind of get caught up in something that I want your input to know how to address that. For example, we as a being, we have a physical body, we have, cardiovascular system, endocrine system, hematology, you name it, right? And that has a big weight also on the soul, in the sense that, for example, like I'm a neurologist. When a patient gets a stroke, that brain part is damaged, right? So how can that person go above that? The brain is not thinking. How can we think like, half body is paralyzed, that or the temporal lobe has a big infarct? How can we go beyond that and keep the noose and the muscle strong? Or to give a small example, many people are diabetic. Once the sugar level fluctuates, it drops down or it goes high, their whole aura changes, their mood changes. How do we keep at that noose?
Yeah, good. And anyone would like to, was it heard? Was it heard on the repeat, summarize? The essence of the question is that the body has influence on the soul, if we can put it that way. And sometimes there are brain conditions, health conditions that all affects the soul. And how can we still progress spiritually in spite of these limitations? Nice way to understand this, nice image for this, is a driver and a car, say. So there is a driver and there is a car. And let us say the driver is experienced driver is expert in the race driver. But it is possible one day he might get a car that doesn't go in the top gear, car that can only use first two gears. I know here in this country you don't use gears, car with gears, but let us say the car has limitations, it doesn't go at a certain speed. So the driver has to manage that car with the limitations, but it doesn't restrict his assessment. He remains conscious deep inside. He may not be able to communicate with others because even the horn might not work if he wants to use the horn. Even the technology will have limitations. The car has limitations. Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be, and if it is possible, we can fix it. But enough to know that the driver is separate to the car. Enough to know this. And in himself, the driver tries to think how he can work out. He knows others might think there is a problem here, but he sometimes doesn't see the problem, in himself. As an example, many of you might have heard, noticed, in your work also, you might have seen someone becomes unconscious. It can be because of the head injury. And doctors are worried about this person. Doctors are telling him open the eyes, and the patient cannot open the eyes, and they are speaking loudly. And when the patient recovers, and patient says, "I was hearing everything what you are saying, and I was amused. I was laughing. I wanted to tell you I'm okay, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't open my eyes, but I was happy." This one patient, she said, "I was happy. I was amused by everything that was going on." She recovered 2 days later, but but externally it appears there is a big problem there. But in themselves, they are processing. Subjective level processing is going on. So at our level, whilst we keep the instrument, protect the instrument, we need to, not for its own sake, but that will help the driver to discover his wings. At this time, we need that, get that process started, and build the muscles, and then that the mind might help the car also in another level.
You mentioned about the end that comes to everything in this discourse or life. So, are you trying to say something that, or do you mean that every minute or every second you have on this planet Earth, you use it wisely and do the right thing? Is that what you would say? And I have another follow-up question. You mentioned about intelligence. And I always have to find it.
Yeah, it is. So the question is, we are at this, and the comparison between Patthar and Paras. So I will expand on this. When we are using the Paras, as we experiment with that, you realize what we are missing all along. It is almost like an eagle was lost in the anthill and just trying to become a good ant in the anthill. And one day discovers that there is the sky beyond and there is the world beyond. At present, we are as if deceived in a big way in this. And the human race has got a different potential, and with that comes a hope. If this level is the only world that we can work with, the anthill, there is no hope. One professor in Cambridge by name Martin Rees, his book is called The Final Century. Here we are talking about a professor in astronomy who knows everything that is going on. He is the advisor to the government, also science advisor. And his book is called The Final Century. And he also says this imminent, the next 20 years are very, very strategic. And he sees on a different scale. That is the way, he's not disturbed by this. But he says civilization will come to an end. The science professor is saying this. Martin Rees, R-E-E-S-E, the second name. Now here, if that, he doesn't know that we have the option of using Paras, and we have the option to discover the sky, to fly. He doesn't know that. And that from that to start a different civilization. But not just that, from that mind, if you remove the beggar and the victim and the slave, then they don't need to destroy this planet. You don't need missiles, and you don't need to destroy this planet. Different game starts. When we are in that, our lower mindset, then that nature, we ourselves are major contributors to the destruction of this civilization. Any other thoughts? The question on Zoom, how can we withstand physical pain? So, uh, some people who have gone through pain, some beautiful comment by one, pain is inevitable, misery is our choice. These are the words that we have heard sometimes. Pain is a sensation. Right now, we are sitting here, we all are experiencing pain. Understand? Just you touching the chair and the pressure of the seat, some pain receptors are already fired and pain is there coming. But you don't see it as a pain. You don't experience misery. The sensation is there that is giving you some information. That's the way you see it. When the mind is at a lower level, when we are not grasping something, clinging to something, more we go in that direction, then the experience of the pain becomes misery. When you detach, when you are seeing yourself with a higher perspective, then you also see yourself as a invisible traveler here. You're not part of the anthill. You are invisible traveler. Sensation will still be experienced, but misery will not be there. You see this with some players, when you are playing any sport, like for example, football is one example. Ball comes with a speed, and you take that ball on your head, on your body, on your legs with a speed. It does hurt you, but they enjoy it. Sometimes cricket ball, it is coming at a speed of 100 miles an hour. That speed, and it is a hard ball, season, cricket ball, and it hits the player, at that speed. The player doesn't use, the protection everywhere, but it hits sometimes neck somewhere, and he just rubs it and gets on with it. There is pain, but there is no misery because the mind is in a different space. Same thing happens here. But having said that, we have to start the process. There are many other factors, other reasons for pain. We may have to take the advice and the expertise, but along with that, also introduce some of these practices. I have noticed if I tell patients with some sharp pains, severe pains, if I tell them to stop sugar, and they inform me that the experience of pain has reduced by 30%, 40%. There is always reduction of the pain. My logic here is my thinking. There are certain sense objects that, some sense objects, sense pleasures, they are pulling you into this invisible, the one from the sky is getting pulled in this. So if you have gone there for pleasure, that world will also give you pain. So more you step back from that, go for your supersensuous happiness, then that world, lower world, will not be able to give you misery. Experiment, and there will be some who can do research on this also. But try, more a person steps back, you will find the sensations are there, but misery is not there. And we all can do the homework. Should we go for the meditation? During this practice, we use the best intellect with the first second. We all have it, so we are using that higher intellect paras. And it is fun. It is like the greatest gift we all have. With this, we are seeing the whole physical world as a story. No different to any other story. During these minutes, that is the way we see. What is happening right now is a story. Performance based on a story. So everything that happened today, it was a story. And everything of the past, a story. There is nothing there to complain about. Nothing there to be worried about. Nothing there to be obsessed about. No one creates ego based on a story. We have a different attitude when we are dealing with a story. With this paras intellect, we are able to step beyond the story. Paras, its field is different, it is beyond the anthill. It can see the sky. And so beyond the story is silence. There is no noise of the story. Beyond the story is the real world. We see this in an image of a sky. World of complete stillness. This is the home of the true family. They are the living stars in the sky. Paras helps the true self to become conscious. We are able to see the true self. And when he's conscious, for him to be that invisible traveler that appears normal, to be an image of a living star that appears normal, completely different. To be immortal appears normal. To belong to that timeless sky appears natural and normal. To belong to that family of divine souls appears normal. All we have done is just use the right intellect, right instrument. And we discover that we discover the sky. We discover a divine reality. Discover the extraordinary truth of everyone. As we continue on our journey, we remember the immensely beautiful truth. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's some very encouraging imagery that's been mentioned. The birds, the one bird flies, second bird flies. It's a bit like when there's something in the air, if there's a product that's being marketed, then attention goes there, everyone wants it. I was thinking of the word luxury the other day, and this luxury which we experience at a subtle level, those moments where there's this complete freedom from that insecurity. With logic, we can hold it because it's clear, makes sense. And the fact that we can do this for 1 minute, I find is another very encouraging aspect, because although most of us here are practicing, it's like there are these challenging thoughts that come that tell us a different argument. So that clean start, never mind the second before and what was in the mind 1 moment before, we can make a fresh start. It's a bit like seeing objectively this invisible traveler perspective. I've taken a lot of benefit from quite objective language, because then you can go fully into that richness, which is not conditional upon the actions, that what was happening, and that helps you to come and see fresh with a noble mind that is story free. Just to give an example, if you're playing a computer game, you've been associated with the avatar in the computer game, but you wouldn't say that's your story. It's a sequence of things that happened. So it feels like this lifting above the story, above the computer game. It's really freeing. And that's what that liberation is, I think. And that's what's so attractive. And we can play the game, we can play it well, but we don't get deceived when we're playing a computer game. Your mind is more free to interact and engage. Some thoughts. I'm not sure about these difficult questions. I think Prashant's humor, so passing back. Okay, any questions or thoughts? Check and also divert. Apart from Brahmins, who else might have or could have Paris intellect?
Yeah. The truth is, everyone has a Paras, and we all need to start playing with it, make them stronger, build muscles, use the wings, and then others will be inspired to use them.
Last question. Or any question here? But then can I ask? Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Previous classes, and we try to control our mind, like I told that we want to control our movement, whatever disturbance going on, and body and senses. And also, to the morning time, like 4 to 6, 4 to 5 p.m.,
is the best time to get up and get the reward of the nature control your attention. Personally, I have observed that we get up in the morning at 4, of course, I never, but I started getting up. At 4, I found the mind is so disturbed. I don't know, the night is sleeping, the whole mind is so much disturbed that we don't know it because we are sleeping. But when you wake up, you have to control all the disturbance. Sure. So what is your suggestion? Sure. Yes, very good question. One question is, early morning, you wake up, you want to create time for meditation, and you find mind is busy with some thoughts. You use the word disturbed, but you are not able to create time for meditation because that is your intention. A nice program for all of us to anytime when you are creating time for meditation, to aim that first minute that you are going for meditation, first minute, make it the best meditation. First minute. Some people think gradually it will become better. But here you are saying first minute will be the quality meditation. That is yours anytime, during the day, night, anytime you are practicing. So once you start from the right position, then it is easier to maintain. If you start in the ant hill, there will be many things that will distract you in the ant hill. Start from the sky, you will stay in the sky. It is easier to maintain that. That is one program. At a practical level, in the morning, having slept a long time, there is some level of dehydration. If you drink even a little water, you will find it makes a difference. Just drinking water. So, it is seen that 1% drop in hydration lowers your concentration by 5%. So if you drink even one sip of water, makes a difference. But if there is possibility, drink water when you wake up in the morning, and that helps some level. Before coming into meditation, first few minutes, create an environment of knowledge. And I might encourage you to take a photograph of this beautiful sketch that is drawn here later, and just keep it in front of you, and write some of your own words on it. Your own words. You may write I wrote the word eternal here. You can write the word, Paris, and your journey, and invisible soul, angelic consciousness. Whatever words you find they are important for you, write those words in that. Just look at the mind will come in the direction of knowledge. It has to be given the direction of knowledge. Otherwise, the mind can be, don't know, your dreams and where mind was going. And that will affect. Because once you create an environment of knowledge, then the next step to get in the experience will become easier. I might draw one, since you are going to take photograph of this, just let me add a little bit extra here. We are travelers in this, and one who is a traveler is the invisible prince. You can draw a crown there. It is the invisible prince. And this is without exaggeration, it is absolutely true. and come in that awareness. That is the way. It is writing some words, but it will give a direction. And first minute, let there be full concentration, as was mentioned, and it will be easy to maintain.
Right. Mind is so disturbed, without control. Just one thing to my feet, we couldn't do it. Just you have to flow on a beat. That Baba that be the balance. It follows the streamer, nothing bothers. It should be bothered. If it comes in, so your foundation is weak at one. Just make the foundation soft. That's what you should have. Even with the fathers and there also you are missing something on the Srimad side. You are Bhakta with me and you are up on the middle side. You can get to the bottom. The bottom line is that that's what it is. All this when you feel like very chill in your life. There is something that bothers you, something like pain, something that sticks to you. Only stick this. You have to fall straight into the machine.
Om Shanti. So whatever brother shared, it made sense to you? Yes, no? Acha. If you have any doubts, then you can get this book. Making sense. So you'll understand, it will make sense much better to you. The Prashant Bhai, he wrote this, 2 books. So if you'd like to get this, Sister Sarah will help you. And Prashant Bhai, thank you for being with us. And this is Om Shanti. So those who are in Zoom as well, thank you for attending this program. Did you enjoy this program? Were you able to follow through? Okay. Because I think someone was saying there was internet was keep coming and going. So it's good that we're able to follow through. So thank you, Prashant Bhai. So here we have Baba's bowl, Prashad for everyone. So we can come.